What's up, everybody? We're back. We're the best wargaming. We got Colton, my co-host. I'm Taylor, and this is our guest host, Nick. And today we're coming at you with a recap of the team tournament that we just played in this weekend. This is going to be a pretty informal discussion about how we went about pairings. My dog is under my desk. Golly.
Camera's going.
Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Shit. He's got the same energy that I do. All right. So, informal discussion about this weekend. Yeah, so the way that Pactbound ended up doing it is we elected 2 team captains, and then those team captains came together, and they ended up drafting members of our team. So that way there wasn't anybody that really like felt left out, which there were a few people, but it was very fair how everything was selected. Our other captain couldn't make it today, Colton Havens. It's funny to say because Colton also used to be Colton Havens, and the Nicron Henry was our other team captain. But Colton's going to fill in and talk about how the other Colton went about team preparation and stuff like that. So yeah, let's get into it.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah, so real quick, that draft process, we're not drafting based on skill or whatnot, and the idea was that when we drafted players, you got their armies. So like people who had a wider collection were like more desirable and stuff like that. So that's kind of like what we were going through when we went drafting.
Yeah, because there wasn't a specific list that, or like, I guess not an exact team comp we had in mind. It was just a more variety. And I think at the time when we drafted, we didn't know the exact missions or terrain layout, correct?
Correct. Yeah, we didn't have a packet.
Yeah, cool. So, Nick, what went through your head whenever you were doing the drafting process? Like, what were you looking for, and what holes were you like trying to fill?
So this is the first time I've like built a team for 5-mans. Like normally we just like threw the best 5 and there wasn't a building process for it. So I was looking for somebody who had, a decent skill level and a decent army collection. And at the time when we did the draft, Death Guard was still kind of good. Like they were better than they were. So I was like, oh, this guy's got Death Guard, Chris. And so I snatched him up, and I wanted to get like demons and stuff because demons are a good team comp. So that's why I ended up going with Phil. And then I filled my gaps with slayers like you and Eldari with Michael and stuff like that. We got lucky though, because we drafted Jake for Imperial Knights, even though they got nerfed. But the player packet ended up being very friendly for us for having a Knights player.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Colton, did you ever talk, or I guess C-Dog, did you ever talk to Colton about what all went into your team composition?
No, I didn't really. I would assume he drafted more off of like what like Nick said, just what armies he could fill with what everybody had, and kind of make the best team comp with what he had army wise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the only person that he said that he had an idea for what they wanted to play was Parker playing Imperial Guard. He wanted him to spam bodies. Like when he drafted Parker, he's like, just put bodies, horses. But I think Parker was not comfortable playing that kind of list, and he wanted to be a more traditional guard approach, and I think that's what they settled on.
Yeah, it kind of seemed like they compromised between like the million dudes recon list, and then he still played combined arms with some Rogel, like 4 tanks and a ton of dudes, and they kind of compromised with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the player packet, I felt like surprisingly there was only real like 2 terrain layouts that, I mean, I was playing orcs. Let me back up a second. Let me say that. There were 2 terrain layouts I identified as like, I need to play on these, or if I play against a shooting list, I am absolutely screwed. Like, it's not good, which luckily every single round I was able to play on one of those 2 layouts.
Them dense boards.
Yeah. Yep. Which is easy to do when, we're putting down Knights as first defender, and we get to kind of see what they pick. We get to see the roll off, and we know for a fact if we have the next terrain pick, then we can just slap you down.
Yep. Yeah, that worked out perfect each time, putting Jake down with Imperial Knights as first defender, taking light, and then our opponent could only take one of the 2 that I needed to play on, and then you slap me down. I'm like, I'm good to go. Let's get it. So what did y'all do for preparation, like going into the event, besides obviously like looking at other lists and like terrain layouts, which I guess looking at other lists, like I know Nick, you built a matrix. Could you go into a little bit of what that entailed?
Yeah, so if you go on Stat Check, I think it's Stat Check 40k is the web address or whatever. You can build matchup matrices, and it takes you can narrow it down to your team's detachments versus their team's detachments. Normally, you get a lot of good information out of that. Unfortunately, we were so close to a balanced data slate that removed challenger cards from the game that
Yep.
the data was just so limited. So I couldn't narrow it down that far, or else a lot of armies I had 0 data points for.
Yep. Sea Dog, did y'all have anything that y'all did similar? Did y'all have a matrix that you were working off of?
Yeah, Colton had a matrix. I think he kind of did the same thing that Nick did, just went on stat check and ended up running it, especially once y'all got more data the weekend.
Yeah, thankfully it updated and we got like a whole month's worth of data just dropped on
Yep.
us 3 days before the event. So that was good.
Yep.
More than just
So
two things to
yeah.
go off of.
Did y'all end up working a lot off of the matrix? Because I know for me, like I was just telling you the matchups, like I think this is good. I'm good on this, especially on the terrain layouts that I was trying to play on. How much did that like work into what your pairing process looked like?
So for the matrices part, like there wasn't, like I said, the data was very limited. So rather than look at exact data points, I had to look at trends. And so, for example, when I looked at Imperial Knights, all their loyalist Marine matchups were bad,
Mm-hmm.
not good, but there was a trend with Chaos Marines. Every Chaos Marines that was not World Eaters, they had good matchups into. So I could see there, it's like, okay, we don't like armies that have full hit rerolls, and we don't like armies that can get +1 wound, like army wide via Oath of Moment. So just stay away from those. And so that played into like what armies we put Jake into and stuff like that. But
Yep.
definitely the terrain recommendations we looked at, like you send me those recommendations you want to play on. We made sure to keep you off those boards, and really like nobody wanted to play on the light terrain. So it was good that Jake was our
Yeah.
first defender every time. So it's just like we'll just take that terrain
For
away
sure.
and just let everybody do their thing.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Colton, what about you? What did y'all's pairing process look like?
I think we mostly went off of the matrices and like what was considered a good pairing. I'm trying to remember. I think what we had planned going in was putting Parker up most of the time to go take the light boards.
Yep.
And then I think we ended up going and we switched it a couple times, ended up putting me first just so I could go take one of the heavy 2 boards that no one wanted to play on, except for like me and Sebastian were the only ones that wanted to play on the heavy one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think it honestly worked out pretty similar because you were playing World Eaters, I was playing Orcs, and like you and I had the conversation before, like I guess going into the event that we really thrive on those 2 boards. So if we can try to make that happen, it's going to be a much easier time for us. And I'll post the right here. There's going to be a picture right here of the terrain layouts, and I'm going to have an arrow here and here showing the ones that we wanted to play on, and then right here you couldn't deploy anything else or we were going to get shot off the board, and here and here. So I hope my editing skills do what I just did justice. But yeah, so the other 3 terrain layouts had very wide open shooting lanes that you couldn't stage, at least with the amount of bodies I had as orcs. Like I can't stage all my stuff to where I can safely get here, especially if they have infiltrators or something that stopped my Zogrod brick from scouting up into a safe piece of terrain. If they block that, then that unit's just getting null and void, and then my whole army like falls apart essentially.
Let's go over the actual y'all. We want to tell us what your team was. Oh, shoot, there he is.
Shit! It's Dr. Derrick Ramsey. All right, so we introduce everybody. This is Derrick. He is the captain of Barnhammer, the winner of the event. Colton's team, they took second, and then Nick and I's team, we took third. So yeah, Derrick, we're just doing a real informal kind of a roundtable discussion about how the event went. A couple things that can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you sound great.
Perfect. So a couple things that we've talked about so far was whenever, like we talked about our pairing process, like the thought process that went into that, and then how we have originally put together our team. So if you want to talk about a little bit how you put together your team and then how y'all went about the pairing process, and then we can all be at the same level. Like we've all talked about the same stuff.
Well, we won this last year too. And so we decided just to run it back with pretty much the same team. but this time we
Yep.
had opportunity to make 3 different teams. And so we were looking at it. We had heard you guys were doing a draft, which I thought was a cool idea. But we were looking at it, and we had 2 guys that weren't, Gaddy just got married. He didn't play Wasteland Wars. He hadn't played a lot competitively. And Kevin, which are basically, those guys go together. They're basically married. They're hetero life mates. But
Right.
they're best friends, and they play a lot of games together. And what's funny is they test against each other the most. Like, they'll play 3 games a week versus each other and not other people. So, that's just those 2 guys were on the team. And then we were looking at it, and we're just trying to look at comp, like what we were going to take. We knew Kevin was going to play Orcs. He just plays Orcs. I had Votan, GSC, Demons, and I had both Incursion Demons and Plague Legions kind of ready to go. I had played those enough that I felt confident I could play any of those 3 armies. So I tested GSC for Wasteland Wars and opted out. I opted for Plague Legion. I basically took a gamble that Plague Legion is much better against 80% of the field and has really bad matchups into 20%. So I took a gamble that I could also play that. I had just finished my dissertation. I took a whole month off from everything to write 190-page finish writing, 190-page document. I was I had defended my dissertation like right before the tournament, like before or something. Like, it was really close, or I was defending it right after. I just did. I don't know. I can't even remember at this point. I just remember I was brain dead. So I went with Plague Legion for that tournament for Wasteland Wars because I was brain dead and I needed something that I had so many reps with. And I won like 6 RTTs with it this year. I figured, hey, if I can win 6 tournaments with it, I've got enough reps. I didn't feel strong enough with my GSC skills. So then I practiced more GSC. And so that was an option for the team tournament. So when we were looking for we sort of had our core 4, Josh, Gaddy, and Kevin. We knew that Kevin was going to play sort of a jailing Orc list. I was going to play sort of a jailing Nurgle list. And for whatever reason, we told them just to
fuck that list.
We were, it's a rough list. And you beat it, but it's still like not a lot of people have a great answer to it. And we bunted into you with that. But the trick was we didn't try to come up with like, at first we were trying to like, what's the best combo? What's the best, like, we played, we need to cover all bases. And eventually I settled on the message we sent out to the team was, we were trying all these different lists. And I said, just play the list you feel the best with. That was great. Just play the list you're best with. Play the list you have the most reps with, that you can play in your sleep, that you have the most experience with. Play that. Right. Of course, the Orcs had just gotten a bunch of changes. So Kevin had won
they did
a bunch of games and done pretty good with an RTT running Warhorde. So he had been running really shooty and Stompa lists and crazy Orc lists. But he had been playing.
I'm not going to lie. I was a little surprised whenever I didn't see a Stompa in his list.
He played a pretty
Kevin, I feel like he always spins like he puts a little sauce on it. Like the Death Copters, I thought
12
were
Death
a
Copters
really
is
cool
off
touch.
meta. Like, that's not quite normal meta. And it worked out for him. I mean, he either 20-0 or 0-20. He only had one bad game. 20-0 everybody else. So, I mean, that's just the way the list was built. That list was built so that it would either win big or lose big. And it was all about pairings. So once we knew that Kevin was playing Orcs, I had not decided yet. Josh had submitted that he wanted to play he had figured out a way to play fixed Necrons. And based on the scenarios, the maps, whatnot, most matchups, he could put them in a bad position. I remember we played the Heart team. He was playing against Black Templars, and the Black Templar players walked over to his captain and said, okay, here's what's going to happen. If I play passively, I lose, but it's not by a lot, because he'll just get this many points and I'll get this many points, and I can't stop him. Or I go all in and I try to stop his actions and stop him from doing that, and there's a chance that I lose big. So I could win, or I could lose big, or I could make sure that I don't lose too big. And they asked this captain, what should I do?
Yeah, I was talking to Josh during our game because he had all of his race set up in a prime position for me to charge. And I was like, I feel like you're baiting me really hard right now. And he's like, I am, but that's just how the list plays. And I'm like, all right, I guess I'm taking the bait. Because I either sit here and I let you cleanse for the rest of the game, or else I have to get into your face. And I ended up having to get into his face like one way or another. So yeah, That's totally right.
So we hadn't picked our last member yet, and we hadn't picked what Gaddy was going to play. Now Gaddy has good sisters, good reps with sisters. He has good reps with GK. He won a tournament recently. One of the few tournaments he played GK, Grey Knights.
Really?
And he won the last game. He had one model left on the table, and he was ready to give up. He was playing against Knights, and he beat the guy by 4 points because he just drew the right secondaries to where he could, and he went second, so he had sticky points, and then he flipped it, and that's a real pro move. So
yeah, absolutely.
He had enough GK experience. He wasn't really excited about the Codex, though. Nobody has been excited about Grey Knight's Codex. Yeah. So he had Grey Knights, he had Sisters, and he had Votann, which we both have Votann. We both played it. But we were looking at it, and he was really asking, what should I play? What should I play? He didn't have time to test. He played maybe 5 or 6 games with Votann before the tournament.
Wow.
So he did not have as much reps into it, but I said, I know there's going to be a Knight player on damn near every team. We know there's going to be a lot of heavies. We know there's a lot of demons, just because our local meta just happens to have like 6 demons. It's a demon player and a Knight player on every team, right? It was just one of those things that was out there. And so we worked on his list. Yeah. We worked on his list. We worked on it for a while, and we got one that we felt was good. It's really a little bit non-traditional, but it was kind of balanced. It was good into everything, but it was especially good into Knights. But we never got to his schedule, because he's so tight on schedule with teaching and engineer stuff. He never got to play into Knights. He had never played Chaos or Imperial Knights ever in all of 10th or 9th. And so we built this list kind of to be the counter Knights and to counter big heavies, but he never got a chance to play into it. But he played plenty of demons and orcs and other stuff, so it worked out for us. And then when we were looking for our last team member, Herschel's been highly consistent with Death Guard. He's been a really good player. He's only been playing for a year, and he's quite skilled. We had a couple other guys to look at, and we were just trying to figure out what would be the best. So once we figured out the 4, I thought Death Guard would be a great 5th, because it would give us certain matchups. And so it was basically, we had Jacob Kozler with his Raven Guard, and that's a cool list, and he did pretty well with it. We had some other people that were really good players, like Victor, who won Best Painted with his Drukhari. But we just thought that Death Guard gave us, because basically the orcs are very aggressive. They're a glass cannon army, but the Votann are tough, the Death Guard are tough, the Necrons are tough, and the demons are tough. And so then you've got 4 just absolutely chonky boy armies that you've got to chew through. And most people have 1 or 2 anti-chonk armies. They don't have 4. And so that would give us an edge. And that would kind of help us out a little bit.
Yeah, it helps you out a lot too in the rounds 2 and 3 when Purge the Foe is a mission to choose from. You could skew that toughness into there and get in some nice primary play.
Yep.
I have a cat of Nurgle here. It's just kind of got a small demon of Slanesh. Will
totally
not leave
good.
me alone. I don't know. She's just into she wants to be on camera. So
I'm gonna be on camera.
Yeah.
So when you went to go put together your team, right? Did it kind of start with you because like you're the captain of the team, and then you kind of just went to the guys last year and was like, "Hey, this is what I'm thinking." And then you like collaborated to find Herschel your 5th. Is that kind of how it went?
Well, we have a group. So Barnhammer has about 20 to 25 players that we have our little Discord, and we talk and play. And we have about, 10 that play tournaments. We have about 15 that will randomly play one event or 2 events. Like Joseph Johnson, he's pretty new to the game. He's got 2 armies though, fully painted, pretty good player. That was his first tournament. With teams. So I don't remember how he did. We may have to look that up, Nick, if you can.
Which one was he?
We have
Joseph Johnson. He played Death Guard, and that was his first event ever.
Yeah, he played against Phil. Yeah, I remember that game. I watched it a little bit. He was a little passive on his first turn, but he made up for it the rest of the game.
Yeah, and he was trying to play something kind of off meta, play champions. We looked at doing. He's got the stuff to play the sort of meta list, but he wanted to do something different. I actually would have liked to see him play Flyborn. I think there's some cool ways he could have done a Flyborn list. I think that would have been interesting. I think, and for teams, Flyborn seems to be okay. But anyways, like there were guys on whatever, but we had just we didn't know that anyone else really wanted to play teams when we started up our first team. We just said, who might want to play teams. Jacob Kozler was on our team last year, and he did really well last year. He was 1. It was like 2, 2, and 1. So he's like, hey, you did your job, right?
You know who that 1 was against?
Is it you?
This guy.
Yeah, he did. He did okay. Yeah, we built his list to counter you specifically, and then it all went wrong. His stuff blew up in his own
I will say,
portals everywhere.
Yeah.
I
There was
remember
Dark
that
Angels
game.
to go against T-Suns last year. And we've like,
dude,
don't
yeah.
lose big. All you have to do is not lose big. And he had the worst first turn ever. It's just kind of rough.
Yeah. My T-Suns list, I was kind of just sending my my Rhino up and slapping 10 rubrics in front of my opponent. It was like, you got to move something, buddy.
You got to. So we had looked at him. He was one of the players that was really good. He had a cool Raven Guard list this year that he'd been practicing with. And then, now Mac the Knife is here. Here you go, Mac the Knife.
Hello, kitty.
Yeah,
They're all
I'm just being surrounded by cats right now. I have no idea why.
They
They need to go outside is what they need to do. So I'm a pussy magnet. I don't know. We just got demonetized.
Hey-o.
So anyways, we had looked at it. So he said he really didn't think he could play. And there's some other people who said they couldn't play. Dylan White's pretty good. A couple other people, And so when we were building our first team, we didn't really have that many people that showed that really strong interest. So we just kind of formed our first team of 5. And then we just started practicing together a little bit about 2 months before the tournament. Not too long, but like right after Wasteland Wars, a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's about the time that we started getting things going as well.
And then a bunch of people were like, all of a sudden, we're like, hey, I kind of want to do teams. So we were like, we have enough. Let's do a second team. But it was hard picking a captain. So we picked Aaron Cook because he's a really good card game player. Like, he's really good card game player. Like, he's been a CCG player at a top level for tons of games for years. And so I thought he might be good at pairing. And he's our crash test dummy. So Aaron Cook is the guy that we own, like, collectively as a team. We share armies and borrow armies and stuff if we need it, proxy armies. So he is a guy that are like, hey, none of us had played against Thousand Suns last year at the teams. We had him do a crash course in Thousand Suns. He went and watched a bunch of videos on it, put a list together that was kind of meta, and we all played against him until he got good enough that we felt like we kind of understood something.
You're getting good reps.
Yeah.
He's our crash test dummy. Anytime there's an army that we don't know what it does, he'll grab it, proxy it, and put it on the table and play against us. So I felt like because of his experience being the crash test dummy and being, a guy that's played card games a lot and kind of understands some of that sort of counterplay, that he might be okay at doing the pairings. So that's why he got named Barnhammer 2 captain. And that team filled up. And then there was like, well, there's more people that want to play, but they were kind of mercenaries. They weren't really normally Barnhammer guys like Justin, whatever his Blitz guy, that guy, and Anthony Musella aren't normally Barnhammer guys. They're kind of loners, but they didn't have enough guys to make their own team. And we had a few more guys that wanted to be on a team. And Anthony's a pretty good player. He's beaten and come very close to beating me a few times, and he's beaten some other really good players in our community.
Yeah.
I feel like he's on the up. His skill level's high. He hasn't won. I don't know if he's won an RTT yet, but he's gotten damn close 3 or 4 times locally. And he's done well at the, he's usually 3-2 kind of guy at a GT. Right.
Yeah, we were looking at his list, and his list was scary.
It's
like,
a very
if it was piloted correctly, like, it was going to put some people in the dirt.
And he's a pretty good pilot. So we thought, because he's on the rise, let's make him the 3rd captain. But that team was sort of there were more people that wanted to play. We just wanted to make sure people that wanted to play got to play. So like
Everybody
Joseph had never played a tournament, throw him in, like Trip is really young. He's 16 years old, guys. Nicest guy you'll ever meet. Super nice.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know you
Well,
were
that's
16.
the dude you played.
I did play against Trip.
15,
Oh,
works at
okay.
Chick-fil-A. It's like my pleasure when you beat him. It's just ridiculous.
I will say,
He's a good kid.
fantastic guy. Not a lot of people could have the things that happened to him in that game happen and then still be in such good spirits.
Positive, optimistic kid, though. He's learning.
Yes.
And we want to develop younger guys. So a lot of the guys that we sort of put into the Barnhammer group were a lot of new players showed up when we had an escalation league about a year ago. And so a lot of those guys had just gotten into the game, and they were fantastic painters, but they didn't know how to play competitively, and they were in it for the hobby track. And we said, we will work with you to develop your game so you can feel more confident in your game. And they've all grown quite a bit. Like, for example, Herschel has only played for 1 year. This is his first year.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
And he's a fantastic guy for playing for 1 year.
Absolutely.
Highly skilled. And he played me in the Escalation League. This is his first event. And I was playing Votan, and I jailed him with Votan. And he was playing Death Guard, and I jailed him. with bikes.
Seeing a pattern here
I know.
with the list that you played.
But I saw that he didn't have an answer to getting jailed. So I used the Jaegers and bikes, and like for 3 turns, he never left his deployment zone. And then he finally did. This is before the Codex. So I had the big Hearthguard brick drop and do like bad things to him, kill Mortarion.
Yeah.
You know, it was.
Taylor
He got
knows
done
all
with that
about
game.
them
And then
Hearthguard
I do know all about that.
Kevin played him in a tournament, beat him turn 2, and just absolutely just smoked him turn 2. And you know what? After that, he's like, okay, I figured it out. Like he took it in stride and was like, I want to learn how to make sure that doesn't happen. Rather than complaining or arguing or being like, that's BS or these armies are broken and my army sucks. Like he was just had a great attitude. He was like, came to us and said, how do I fix this? What do I do differently? Right? How do we, well, you need to have your screen. You need to make sure you have your Poxwalkers set up as a screen. You know, this is why you never leave home without infiltrators, because bad people like Kevin and Derrick will jail you. And that's, you know, so that's a great example of that. So that's kind of how we came up with it. And then I started doing a pairing matrix like you normally do. We started looking at it, started looking at the team rosters, kind of figuring out who would do well into what. And so like Votann is not normally a good army into orcs, at least the list we have. I think if you took the lists agnostic of players, took our Votann list and the orc list that were out, your list and other orc lists that we saw, and you said, okay, which do you think has the advantage here? Most people would give it to the orcs. I think the average player would give it to the orcs. But Gaddy has so much reps into orcs that he counters that because he's got thousands of reps into orcs. So we felt really comfortable playing into orcs. He had a bad game into Ricky's Tau with his Votann because Ricky's real good with his Tau. And he did not want to play into Tau because they outrange him and they outgun him and they do trickier things than Votann do. And he got into a Tau matchup and he ended up winning by the end of round 2. He's like, yeah, I lost this. You got to win big, Derrick. And I was playing orcs and he had a big orc turn. And I was like, I might have lost this too. And, but we both flipped the game the other way. So we had enough reps that we just kind of persevered it. And one of those things.
And I feel like in team tournaments, especially, like you don't just stop playing. Like I feel like it's pretty consistent. You're playing every single turn, trying to maximize the amount of points you get. And you have those crazy games where you're actually able to flip it and a win in your favor, for sure.
I'm glad we did it this time without the come from behind cards. Because I think if we had done a team tournament, that would have been a very different tournament. Yeah.
Well, plus too, like you'd have so many more ties because those games keep the game, or the challenger cards keep the game so close. It would be so hard to like create that differential that you need in teams.
Yeah. And that's the big reason I played Plague Legion over GSC is that GSC wins pretty well, but Plague Legion creates great gaps in scoring. It creates amazing gaps. And even when it loses, it ties. Like it doesn't lose, it just ties. And so like in a RTT or GT, I could lose a game and I'll lose by like 10. But in a teams tournament, I'm not going to lose by more than 10 probably. Very few things are going to beat me by more than 10 because I have so much control over scoring with that list.
For sure. So let me ask you this. Did you decide on Chaos Demons before or after the terrain was revealed, or like the terrain was published to everybody?
The terrain and missions, right?
I think I was just going to go demons no matter what. I had practiced GSC.
Yeah.
I had practiced some
plus
stuff,
too,
but
you were working on your dissertation the whole month before, and GSC is not one of those. I feel like GSC especially, like I feel like it's hard to like not get consistent play with it leading up to a tournament and do consistently well in a tournament. Like it's such a high skill cap army.
It would be like the AdMech army. No one knows what it does. So you could do what Mac did and make up your rules and just win. But it does have that strength. I think that's like the AdMech strength is no one knows what it does.
Yeah.
So you can really, you're not gotching people, but like they just aren't aware that a 20-man neophyte squad that looks like guardsmen will pick up your knight. They don't know that.
Yep.
They haven't played into it.
Yeah.
And they'll make bad plays because they misunderstand where the damage is.
Yeah.
I personally, though, the reason I didn't play it was I really wanted to play Biocentric Brood Surge, and I don't think it's quite clear. And then my second option was Outlander Claw, and it's close, but I also didn't want to paint anything. So actually, the reason I played Demons more, I had time to get reps to GSC. I didn't have time to get reps to the GSC and paint the GSC. Because I don't have my bikes painted. I have all the infantry painted, but not the bikes. And I ended up painting like half of Kevin's orc army starting the Wednesday before the tournament. All his Death Coptas. I had to build him a Big Mac because he told me he had one and then we couldn't find it.
You
So
told me that at the tournament.
Big Mac and painted it. Had to build and paint 12 Death Coptas. I also had to paint 20 boys or some crap. So I had to do all of that. And I didn't even get the army back from him till the Wednesday before the tournament. So I was just slap chopping everything.
Getting it. Yeah.
Good enough.
Yeah.
So you got his prize support, right? You got his and
yeah, basically.
So when we were talking about pairing, so I know that Nick and Colton both use stat check. Is that something that you use to try to to build your matrix, or did you go more off of player input? Because we did a mixture of both. We started out with the matrix, and then during the tournament, it's well, this is what the matrix says. How do you feel about this matchup? And that's kind of how we did it. What was your methodology going into pairings like that?
So I do like to look at stat check and all the other stuff out there, but we did not use it for basically this. So,
okay,
we used where is it at? I'm trying to see if I have it. We stole, well, they give it to you for free. The Odyssey 40k had a matrix Google Drive sheet. They had a free one. I don't remember which group it was. There's a group out there that has a sort of just a Google sheet where you can fill it in. So we went in and we filled out the entire matrix from just our feelings about those matchups. And so most of the team went through and filled that out. For me, the only armies I put low were Adeptus Sororitas and other demons and knights. Imperial Knights were those were the armies that I kind of thought I probably don't want to play into those. Yeah. Other demons, obviously, because they turn off my main army rule, right?
Yeah.
But turns out, actually, after playing into Incursion now 3 times, Incursion, not because they usually go Monster Mash, it's okay because usually their monsters are fully healthed or they're dead. It's not in between.
Right.
So there was a point where Phil had Rodriguez 2 wounds, and I was really tempted to try to battle shock him to give the 2 wounds off. So he died in the command phase so that I could get the point back. But I didn't because it's 50-50 odds that he just heals D3 instead.
Right.
It's not useful for me. But I had a pretty good, pretty good matrix for me. But then Herschel did not want to see Eldar. Herschel did not want to play orcs because Kevin has just been pounding him with orcs and beating him badly. So
really?
He did not want that matchup, even though it's Death Guard.
Yeah.
He just has not figured out orcs yet. And he just So for him, it was I don't want to do orcs because I don't think I haven't figured out enough.
Which is totally fair.
Yeah.
That's totally fair.
And you probably won't anytime soon because they're
a lot of the armies that we
units.
saw were similar. I mean, your list is pretty similar to the Hearts list, the Germain list. It's pretty similar to Kevin's. So there's differences, but they're ultimately the core function of the army is still there.
Or how you're trying to win the game is how you're trying to win the game with the orcs is pretty much the same, and then you have different tech pieces that is kind of personal player preference to help you do that. Nick, what were you saying just a second ago?
I'm saying the Death Guard matchup, he's probably not going to learn anytime soon until Death Guard get their points back because they're such at a low unit count right now that they just can't deal with the orc swarm.
They have more activations. They can screen. So you can't just say, well, they can jail you, right? And you can't get out because you're slow. And then they can absolutely screen the whole table so you can't even deep strike 6 inches, right?
Yeah, just because orcs have so many units, especially with the trucks, because how I was playing a lot with the trucks is if I needed screening units, all of my units are moving forward. My trucks are moving backwards if I need that area screened.
Yeah. And that's what Kevin was using the 2-3-man Death Coptas. He would usually deep strike them in and try to do some shots, but he was kind of putting them in position to screen after his guys got out of the way.
I like it.
Yeah. So it's kind of good tech. And then he had the big squad, and it was a surprise. 6 Death Coptas have a lot of rockets, and he shot that into some 20-man Zerkers and lit their ass. I mean, that was effective.
It's good targeted too.
I've been shot by a 5-man alone of I always forget the rocket.
Tank Busters.
Yeah, and it's it's actually the exact same profile, right? Just
pretty much D3 blast, strike D3, just a D3 blast. But there's a strike 9 twin linked. So
yeah, even better.
They're twin linked. Okay,
yeah, on the Death Copters, I believe they're twin linked.
Yeah, they
don't they get 6 attacks a piece?
Yeah, and in
so just perfect for clearing chaff.
Yeah, their Warhorde they have sustained.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the other thing is they can go in on the Wa turn, they're swinging in with just, an ungodly number, and they can tank shock. But
Yep.
you're not going to do that, but they could, I guess. He tried it on me one time.
Possibility is there.
Frisky.
But yeah, I mean, they're melee attacks, 6 attacks, strength 5, AP 0, 1 damage. But on the wall turn, obviously that's a little bit better.
Yeah.
And with sustained hits, they could definitely
Plus,
clear.
too, if you're within 12 inches of gas, you get lethal hits too.
Yep, and that's not not bad either.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, I like it. I'm gonna test it out. I'm gonna steal the tech. I need to try it for myself.
And then when they're on the wall turn and they have that 5-up invulnerable, they're really tough. They're hard to shift
because they got 4 wounds apiece.
They have 4 wounds at T6.
Pretty good.
And they have a 4-up armor save, and then 6-up invulnerable. So even without the wall turn, they give you something that is a little bit hard to shift off, and they can sit in the back on your close point, right, and still have interaction with the game, right? And then if it comes time to like go do an action or go do something, they're fast. They move 12, so
yeah,
they can get where they're going.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I charged some Exalted 8-bound into them, and I was like, oh, I'm damage 3. I'm killing 1 each swing. He's like, no, you still need 2 swings. I was like, oh, this sucks. This is trash. Why am I not just one-shotting these things?
So Derrick, you said that you kind of just went off of, or you had your players pretty much just communicate. Did you have that in a Google sheet where they went in and filled in what their matchups were? Or did they verbalize it to you and then you went in and edited it?
Well, not everybody did it. I mean, on some of the teams, everyone did it. Like we did a general matrix, a master matrix for some of us. Mm-hmm. It was a big Google sheet. And then we looked at, once the list came out, then we said, let's look at the people that we think are the main threats to us. Right. And so at the time we thought Pactbound 1 and 2 and Crimson Lions were the 3 like biggest threats. Yeah. And then we already knew our round 1 matchup was Mercenaries. So we went ahead and did the matrix on them as well. And so we went in and, like, for example, we thought we paired better into the Twink squad than Gagged, right? We thought our pairings looked better into them. We were like, we really didn't think that we paired as well into y'all. Just the matchups for some of the people didn't look as good. Crimson Lions also provided a lot of challenge to us. They were a great team. Hunter's an amazing player, super skilled.
Yes.
We didn't know the rest of his guys. We got to know them. They're really cool guys. And I played into Alex, and he's a fantastic player and was playing a good list. And, he's a good player. It's a good list, but he needs new dice, I guess.
It's always the dice.
I need to use my store credit to buy Phil new dice, because his dice absolutely Scarbrand and charges Rodigus, and Scarbrand's the one that dies. That's not a good.
Oh my God.
I hate to see what? It. Should have told him roll a 4-5.
I did give me I rolled a lot of, he didn't roll good on his attacks, and I rolled some good 4-ups. So he did 12 damage. And then I swung back into him, but I used crits on 5s and just whomped him back and did 12 damage to him back.
No. Live and die by 4-up imbuls.
Yeah, live and die.
Golly. All right. So we've talked a little bit about how we drafted our teams, how we built the matrices. Let's go ahead and go around, and each person can say like one thing that they took away, and then one thing that, let's say like one thing that went good, one thing that we can do better next year, I think. Which, Derrick, you may not have any because y'all won. So,
we always have
just keep doing the same thing.
Keep it the exact same.
So, yeah. We'll start with Sea Dog, then we'll do Derrick, and then Nick, and then I'll provide some input too. Colton, what do you think went good? What can we do better next year?
As far as, I don't know, I every single one of my games was super fun. I didn't have a bad time with anybody. There was no like, sometimes when dice don't go good and get a little angsty, but I had like one tiny moment with a rule that I was wrong on, but other than that, I had a great time with every one of my opponents, especially even when we got paired and it was Pactbound. Even Nick and Colton were like, well, the 2 tables down there, there's 2 sad faces, 2 happy faces. You and Seabass's game, y'all are both super laser focused. Chris and I are over there just fucking around, rolling dice. It's like, fuck, it's living on 1 wound. But it was a ton of fun. Taking stuff away, I think a lot more. I feel like providing input on how you think the matchup would help a lot too. It's like, even if this is good on paper, like say World Eaters have an amazing matchup in the Tau, but I haven't played Tau at all, so I don't really know the matchup. And then I think building the list, It's like what you said, Derek. I feel like it's way more important to run a list that you are comfortable with versus having your list changed in what is supposed to be more meta or more, better. Because you're gonna pilot the one that you know way better than whatever a meta list is.
Sure.
It's a ton of fun though.
I skipped something we did on pairings, by the way. So I don't know if you're a fan of Suits, the show, but
Of Suits,
I've seen clips.
Yeah, but it's you play
TikTok showed me a lot.
Yeah, you play the man is the thing too. I went through and I gave skill ratings to players.
Okay.
I looked at their BCP rankings and I gave them a rating from 1 to 10.
Okay.
Skill wise, based on had they won an RTT, then they were at least a 5. Top 3 placed in a GT, they were probably a 7. Had they placed like real highly at like Dallas Open, up to a 10, right? And so when we were doing pairings, I was also, because we didn't know everybody, right? And actually, I underscored you, Colt. I forgot you won that Abilene GT. So
dude,
I got 6.5, bro.
Belt. I got
I'm
the
so sorry,
belt.
bro. I didn't know.
Belt.
I told Taylor, I was like, oh God, I forgot about that. Yeah, I got to. And I was looking you up. I guess I just missed it. I don't know.
I didn't go to very many things this year, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Hopefully next year I get
So I looked at that too. So actually going through, and once we had the people, because it wasn't just matchup versus matchup, it's also skill. And I knew the skill of our players. And so, like, for example, on Crimson Lions, we didn't know them. But like, I knew Hunter. I'd played Hunter. And that's like playing again. Like the whole time I was playing Hunter at Wasteland Wars, felt like I was playing Gaddy, who's like a super great technical player, who's fantastic. And so I also considered that as he's a highly technical. You can't put someone like Kevin into that because he'll counter Kevin. And he did.
Okay.
That's what happened. Kevin got 19-1 by Hunter because he's too technically strong of a player. You can't get away with Kevin's bullshit. Smooth brain bullshit. Right? And the same thing, Taylor, you are a really good technical player. We had to bunt into you. I did not want to put Herschel into you because you also, the skill differential between you and Herschel, he's great, but he's learning. But your skill's so much higher. And I don't want to put Josh's skills very high, but he had a bad matchup into you. That's not the matchup. Necron Canoptic Court into Orcs is not the matchup. But his skill level's high enough that he can stop you from winning too big. And that's his only goal. We thought if we could get the other matchups, honestly, I didn't know what to expect from Kevin. Kevin was either going to lose 0-20 or win 20-0. It was all down to dice.
He's going places either way.
On that game. It really was. But that was another factor in pairing was you put skill into skill. And Nick, I know you do that natively because you know who is skill level what. Right? Would you agree?
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely.
And so if you don't know the skill of the other players, look up their BCP rankings and just make your own little sort of scale, right? Do they play a lot of events? Do they play? And also, like, for example, we were looking at Crimson Lions there. Like Hunter had not played a ton of Death Guard, but he's a really good player. But like we were looking at their World Eater player. He had played a lot with World Eaters. It's like the one thing he played. So we're like, obviously he's well practiced. But if you see a guy that's playing something they haven't played, right? I think their Knight player hadn't played Knights very much. I don't know. There was somebody I was looking at for pairings and rankings. And I was looking at, I'm like, well, this is like, they haven't played this in an event. So I'm not going to skill them as high. They haven't placed with this list. Right. Yeah. So that's 100%. Also a factor.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a really good way to do it. I didn't even think about looking up people's stuff on BCP. But yeah, that's cool. So what do you think went good? What do you take away? What do you want to do better next year, Derrick?
I mean, definitely, I think I don't want to paint stuff last minute, and I'd like to practice more before.
100%.
We had 3 teams technically, but we did 1 practice round of pairings.
Okay.
I would have liked to train Aaron and Anthony in pairings. I felt like they were lost. They didn't know how to do pairings. When I looked at the pairings, I was like, those are not good pairings in my mind. In their mind, they thought they were happy. I would ask them after the pairings, what did you think? They're like, oh, we think it's great. And then they would lose bad and I'd be like, well, what do you think now?
You love the pairings. We had a great time into the pairings.
Obviously, that's a skill. It's a skill to do pairings correctly. It's an important skill. And I felt like last year we won through the pairings more than we won on the tabletop. And this year, I think the same thing happened. We won a lot of our battles through the pairing round. The battle was like, knowing is half the battle. The other half is extreme violence. Well,
100%.
Lasers, right? So I think the pairings, getting them to work out the way you want or to not be terrible for you, It was more about not about getting good matchups. It was about not getting bad matchups. So when we did pairings,
that makes
we
a lot
didn't
of
pair to
sense.
get the best matchup. We paired that we didn't have any negative matchups. And if we were going to get a negative matchup, that player knew to play it tight to keep it close. Right?
Yeah.
Except for Kevin never does that. So he just wad out. And
we're going forward.
So
They're playing
I would
orange,
next year,
baby.
I would love to teach the younger guys that are newer guys to teams how to do pairings by doing more drafts, more practice rounds.
Yeah.
Right? But what I think we'd want to do is that we need a third party. So like if we were going to do this next year and it was Barnhammer versus Barnhammer, I would probably say me and this other captain will do, pairings together, and then we will give it to Pactbound, and y'all just predict the winner of the matches based on what that way they can see like what do we think the pairings
Solid
would be.
idea.
And that would be a great way to do a faux pairing. Just do that over and over again and have a third party team that's neutral rate the pairings to see what they think of the pairings. And you do that a few times,
think
that could be good practice.
100%.
I think that would be really cool going into this next year is getting more teams practice by involved, because I mean the competitive Warhammer scene just continually grows in West Texas. I feel like because Barnhammer's got almost 20. You got 20 people, more than 20 people now.
Yeah, like 20 or so people. Yeah, and you guys have 20 or so people.
Yes, so both of our teams have kind of exploded the last couple of years. So I think there's definitely an avenue for us to, what's the word? Like practice together?
Collaborate.
Yeah. Scrimmage.
Collaborate. That's a great word.
Yeah.
Scrimmage, collaborate.
Boom.
But also we've got about 20 mercenaries that are playing. So there's about 60, in just West Texas, 60 pretty regular competitive players. Then we have the random that like play once or twice a year, But there's quite a few. It's growing up.
Yep. Nick, what do you think? What do you want to do, or what do you think went well? What do you want to do better next year?
So pre-tournament went well. I think we did a good job word of mouth spreading news on the team event and how fun Team 40k really is. And how, like, to me, it's the best way to play 40k. Singles events or whatever, Team 40k, top of the list. So it was nice to see.
Touchdowns.
Yes, I was going to get that. Yeah.
I didn't score a single one.
I gave up best overall, baby. Let me tell you.
But you got the game-winning touchdown, and now they owe us beer.
I did.
That's like the NFL player that kneels the ball down at the 1 yard line so they can win.
My fantasy team's in shambles.
Everyone's fantasy team is mad, but the team won.
Yeah. But yeah, so getting Aaron and Michael's team out of the Midland, Odessa area, this was their first team event. I talked to them afterwards. They loved it. They would prefer it over singles, and they can't wait to play in another one. Crimson Lions driving down from Dallas. Hunter, I've got to know pretty well over this past season, or maybe the whole edition. I've been to, I think, 5 GTs, and he's been at every single one. I got to play Nate. I played John, their Knights player. I played him in Oklahoma. But yeah, so it's nice to see more people come to the team scene, and I just hope the team scene just keeps growing. It's so good. But
a ton of fun.
Yeah, tournament wise though, like into the tournament, I think what went well for us was our homework on pairings. I think we did a good job. I was setting benchmarks for all y'all every single round.
Yes.
I was like, Taylor, give me 15 points. Like McKibben, get me 9. Phil, get me 6. And like you guys were hitting those benchmarks, and it gave you something to shoot for, and it helped you guys like kept your tempo going in the game. So if I needed big points from you, I needed you to be on the gas from the jump.
Yeah.
What went bad for us, I think, was pairings. And the final round against Derrick's team, we were kind of discombobulated there at the end. We were trying to get Michael in from outside.
Yeah.
He went running off. Jake, he was having a conversation with someone behind us. I hit him up for that, like after the fact, say we need to be locked in at pairings, and we all need to be on the same wavelength. And I think that's what kind of screwed us up, because after the fact, I was like, why did we choose that? Like, that's not the matchup we wanted.
Jedi mind tricks. I got you with it.
Yes. Yeah, like looking back on it, I'm like, I don't know why. And yeah, so we need to all be there at pairings.
Everybody's
locked
adding
in
their
and focused. Yeah, I'll give McKibben a pass. The dude was dealing with pneumonia for this team event. So like,
was pretty sick.
You do you. So yeah, so next team event, definitely we want to be more locked in when it comes to pairings.
And I think that was just kind of the trick. Also, is like we really wanted Knights into Votan, because I really felt that they could do that job, but we didn't know until it happened.
Yeah.
And I think that was one of those cases where I don't think he had played against Votan and we hadn't played against Knights.
Yeah.
He's played against Votan. I think what had happened though, and me and Gaddy talked about this afterwards, was that rather than taking the reroll vow, just take the movement. And so when you add the strat for +3 movement on top of the detachment or the army rule movement, you get more eyes on target. And there was that on Jake's go turn, he didn't have enough eyes on target. So your rerolls aren't going to help you if your whole army can't see his army.
Yep.
That's the thing about Gaddy. Even after he beats you 20-0, he will tell you exactly what he would have done in your place, and he's honest. He's no deception. He will tell you, this is how you should play it against me. And some people don't understand. He's being 100% honest with you, and he really is giving you good advice. And most people, like, if you learn to, that's why I told all my guys on my team, get in games with Gaddy, because after he beats you, he'll tell you how he would have beat himself. And if you listen to him, you'll win next time, or you'll do better next time.
Yeah.
Taylor,
all right.
What are your takeaways, brother?
I think this was my most fun event that I've ever played in. I'm going to go ahead and say what went well I'm going to say me personally, right? Besides all the game, is I have a really hard time locking in too much into a game and not having enough fun with it. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So
that tends to happen more in singles events.
Do what?
So that tends to happen more in singles events because you can't afford a loss if you're trying to hit top table.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah. You just can't lose.
Yeah. So I think for me, like every single game that I had was fun, even when they were like tight. Like I remember playing Josh a couple years ago at Wasteland Wars, and I remember walking away from that game feeling kind of bad because I felt like there was a little bit, I'm not going to say tension, but it wasn't as fun as it should have been. And I felt like I could have been a better opponent. And there were multiple games that I walked away from that feeling like that. Not so much that like I did anything like specifically wrong, but at the end of the day, it's still a game, and I want to like have fun and like create relationships with people essentially. And Josh and I's game was so much fun. Josh was a great opponent, so that's something that
we were kind
I feel like I did
with you the whole game. So we were,
yeah. So, and I played against Trip. Trip was a lot of fun to play against. We were having a great time. Seabass was a little bit more because I really needed to push for points to win that matchup. And then I played against Victor,
intense
who was
player though. He
Seabass
gets really locked in. He's a fantastic player, but he's very locked in when he's playing. I don't talk to him during the game. After the game, we'll go have a beer, but during the game, I don't want to talk to him.
Yeah, right. And I told Nick, I was like, that game felt like a fucking game of chess where we were both like locked in, we had to move things exactly how it was supposed to go for it to work out. Is Victor on Barnhammer, or was that one of the mercenaries that y'all grabbed?
He's one of our Barnhammer guys.
He is such a good dude. Like, I loved playing against him so much. Always had a smile on his face. Asked for advice after the game, like what he could have done better. Because I'm just now getting into Drakari, as you can see from my boxes right here. But that was fun. And then Josh's game topped it off, was so good. So I feel like I'm getting better about bringing those two things together. And honestly,
best painted. But like he's one of the guys I was telling you about. He was in this for the hobby track, and we're pushing him to learn how to play competitively.
I voted for him
a lot. I think
I also voted for him.
Well. Yeah,
he cheated. He had the fucking backdrops.
He had magenta. He had magenta on his armies. I'm a sucker for magenta.
Yep.
Damn it.
Yeah. So what made me originally think of how I could play differently was I played against Colin K at the Oklahoma GT that we went to, and he is such a highly skilled and technical player, but the entire time we were laughing and having fun. And that's the type of opponent that I want to be, where it's still, where you're walking away from the game feeling good, while still also playing very well. So that's what I feel like I did better this event. That's what I feel good about. And then going into the future, what we can do better next year is I think communicating to our players on our team to advocate for your matchups better. Like advocating for, like, because I remember I was in Nick's ear and I didn't know if I was getting annoying or not. I was like, I need this matchup on this table or this matchup on this table. I can't play this matchup on this table. Do with that information what you will. And I was, every single round, I was like, this is what I need. This is where I need to be if you want me to win big. And I think every single player needs to have some of that.
Yeah. I wish we would have had more of that on the team. And like at the time I was upset that we didn't have it, but then looking back on it, that was technically Chris's first team event, and that was Jake's first team event. So we had 2 people on our squad who have never played in an actual like real legit teams 40k environment. And so yeah, I need that input. It helps me so much when you're confident into a matchup. That's like it's adding 10 points to your score just for the confidence.
Rick, do
I
you think
also
that
think one of the
next
things
year?
about talking with like your team and figuring out matchups and what you want, like certain armies, like they cannot play on heavy terrain. They can't. And so if you can't go into heavy, somebody better take it right away.
Jump
You
on the
know, someone
grenade.
better take the heavy terrain.
I volunteer as tribute.
Yeah, and so that's what, you know, a lot of times we had that because if we had gotten like Gaddy versus Knights on heavy, that would have been a weird game. It would have been terrible for Gaddy because Knights can move around with way more impunity. You know, there's certain armies that can play on that terrain and certain armies that just can't. And I think that's the trick to pairings as well. Was I saw a lot of teams get paired in, like they're like, hey, that looks like a good pairing. What happened? Well, I got put on heavy. I'm like, okay, don't accept that. If you see Tau and they're a defender, you know they're going light. You know it.
Yes, dude.
If you're a defender and you see Tau and you go, I will take that matchup because now I'm taking heavy. There's a big difference between matchup A and matchup B, whether you're attacker or defender and whether you're taking that or not. So that's the thing. And I think people misaligned. They just weren't thinking about that. And it was the younger, not you guys, but obviously a lot of the younger guys that I was talking to, they would be like, well, there's Tau as a defender. You're like, okay, we know for a fact that's on a light table. We just know it. Just know it's on a light table. Medium if they're feeling spicy, Tau.
They're never touching that dense board.
Yeah.
They're never going dense though. And so you can't go and then act surprised you didn't get dense. Because it's not
Surprise
a roll-off or
Pikachu
anything.
phase.
They are getting the table they want.
That's what I did last year against Heart. Remember, I was playing that heavy hypercrypt list, and I took their Tau to the heavy terrain, and the guy's like, "Why'd you do this? Like, you're not gonna be able to shoot me." I'm like, "Well, you can't shoot me either. So let's just shake hands on this 10-10, and the rest of my team's gonna go eat."
We're just gonna call it.
Yeah,
That's a
just
good
call
call.
it here.
That was my Dark Angels match part 2.
Part 2
Also went pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. Is there anything else y'all want to talk about, or we can go and
I didn't
close it
clock
up?
any of my 4 opponents because we had
You
ample
didn't clock
time.
any of them?
I didn't clock any
There
of
was-
them. We had
yeah, there
ample
was too much
time.
time.
I was playing
a ton of
orcs, and I never even got close to clocking out. I felt like the event had more than enough time. Did anybody clock out that we know of?
I clocked out because I played the Germain orc player, and we only got to round 3, and it was a 10-10 tie where I hadn't won by enough. I was winning, but not by enough. But I had just killed Gaz, all his boys, and all of his like everything.
Yeah.
If I had 2 more turns, I easily could have flipped that to a 15-5. But it was dice down, and so I did like that was one thing I told my players. Like Gaddy clocked out somebody, but then he gave him time. Like there was a death guard player or someone, and he was like, you know what, you know, you're a newer player. We'll just let you do some stuff. But like, we're not going to enforce it too heavily because there's time on the clock here.
Yeah,
Right.
overall
In the
time.
round.
But I do think if you're playing teams, I like the extra long rounds because then it opens the door for certain armies. Like GSC were more playable in a horde format. And if Aaron had the balls to play the army I built him, which was 60 pinks and 40 plague bearers and 18 nurglings and that list, Nick, you're looking at it, but Nick knows that list will win and it will never lose big.
If I could have done it, Phil's list would have had 30 pinks in it.
Yeah, we have them. We could have borrowed them next year. I got 60 right now. They're not
noted.
They're getting painted. If
y'all
y'all run to that, I know there's a teams tournament coming up, and we've talked about maybe doing a collab on a future teams tournament. If there's an 8-man, maybe we take some of the best of both teams and we make a, barn pact. And we just
I used the clock in my first 3 games, never got close. My last game, I got paired into Hearts World here. I just took the mirror, and I asked Colton, I was like, "Oh, we got us a clock," and he walked off, and I looked at him, I was like, "We're not gonna need a fucking clock, brother. It's world leaders versus world leaders. We don't need a clock."
Oh my goodness!
Hell yeah!
Sure didn't.
Yeah, we got. We're gonna try to go to Brush and Blade coming up here, which is an 8-man, right, in April.
In April,
and then
April 24th, 25th.
Yeah, or 25th, 26th. It's
my birthday's
around
the
that
19th,
time.
so if there's a tournament around that, I can usually get that as my present.
There you go. And I know San Angelo, they were supposed to have a singles event, but that got canceled due to scheduling conflict, and they're going to change it to a teams event. Last I heard, so There's a lot of Team 40k happening out here.
Yeah.
Real excited.
Awesome. I think one thing I'd
I
like
feel-
to add before we get. Oh no, you go first. You go first.
I was just gonna say, I feel like Teams 40k makes so many more. I'm not gonna say more armies competitive because I feel like every army has a competitive nature, but it's like you can bring an army that has obvious bad matchups, and you can totally avoid those in the teams event. At least try to, and you have so much better of an experience. It's just so good.
Now, we'll say
100%.
like what you were talking about earlier, Taylor, about like you wanted to like focus on playing and having a good time and making sure people also had a good time. I'm sorry that I was playing Plague Legion because I realized later, like I'm giving people PTSD playing this list because
I'm glad you did it.
there's
I'm
people
glad,
who
'cause
scored
it opened
15
my
points
eyes.
against me at like Wasteland Wars and this team. They're
Oh.
like, and like the person that scored the most was Phil, and he scored 50 points. That was the most points anyone scored on me the whole tournament. And it's just, like it gives people a real feels bad. And so it's also like I'm ready to retire because it doesn't feel great. But if you beat it, like you're going to beat it bad for the 3 armies that are good into it. But the Eldari,
It opened my eyes to the fuckery, dude. I told Derrick after that match, I was like, I felt like it was like fucking crushing ball torture or some shit during that game, dude. Anything I was trying to do just anything I was doing was just getting shut down. I'm like, I need to rethink how I make my list so I can deal with or have an answer to deal with this.
And that's just it. Like that's what makes that Plague Legion list work. Is it controls what you are allowed to do? Like a key battle shock on Gaz made him where he couldn't use strats, killed the unit, then he tried to charge me, and he was trying to double charge, and he rolled a 4, which failed the double charge. He needed like a 5 or a 6, and he couldn't strat re-roll it, and it killed, and he died. Like the whole unit died because of that. And like
that's
it's just like
rough.
little, and like every time you try to score primary, it's like no, you don't get any. So that one thing is, if we had more of those missions where you don't get to score your home, Plague Legion will just eat your lunch.
Yep.
The missions where you get to hold home, it's like you're going to get 25 points because Plague Legion really isn't going to take your home. So you're going to get your 5 points, and then maybe last turn get 1 extra, and so it's your 20-25 primary is the max I'm going to give you. And I'm also shutting down all your secondaries. That's the other thing I do with it is I target your secondary play units, right? I don't have to kill your primary play because I just battle shock them and target your secondary play till they're all gone. And then I can go focus on other things. And it's a hard matchup for people to solve. And it's given some people like, they played me in like, I don't want to play 40k anymore. I'm like, no, let's not do this. I don't want to. That's not the point.
Roll it back.
But it's been winning so well because I've been lucky enough to avoid most. And I played Ricky's Tau and won by like 1 point on the last turn. Tau, Knights, Sisters
that don't need strats.
Yeah.
I don't have any of those.
I put in the Changeling just for the Eldari. I told you about that, right? There's the Changeling
You're
has an ability where he
it?
rolls a dice, and on a 6, you don't get to shoot. And if you don't shoot, you can't fire and fade.
True. Guys, I have some Jakari to trade for Sisters if any of y'all are if any of y'all have anything. Colton, what were you gonna say just a second ago?
Oh, I was gonna say, dude, not this has to do with like the team tournament, mostly Lubbock. The Lubbock scene's awesome. I wish like it's really just me and Taylor up here. We get to play like some of the guys from like Nexus. We had RTTs and they're fun to play, but there's so many people in Lubbock and that whole community is awesome. Like there's no drama or anything over the weekend. It was just a bunch of people in a big old building rolling dice.
That are good at 40k,
and drinking beer.
We talk a lot of trash between Pactbound and Barnhammer. It is a friendly rivalry. It is there because iron sharpens iron. The only reason we're not all one giant team is it really just gives us more opportunity to work on each other and be better because we have a 100%. Rival that's a friendly rival. And that's a thing you could do too is having friendly rivalries that are productive. Everybody from Pactbound was awesome the entire tournament. Even Colton. I don't know what you do to pay him to behave, but he was great the whole time.
Dude, it's funny we could have a Pactbound versus Barnhammer team tournament and have fucking like 6 teams.
Yeah, we really could.
We didn't even get to play any Barnhammer teams over on Twink Death. These fuckers took all the matchups.
3.
We
played 3 of them.
We didn't get a single one.
Let me ask you, Nick, did you feel like you and Colton coaching, do you wish you had played? You feel like you'd have made more of an impact by playing, or was it?
I wish they had played.
I wish they played too, but
First,
I
yeah.
mean, I think everybody wishes Colton and Nick would have played just because they're two of
They're
our best
so
players.
good.
Y'all are really good at the game.
Yes.
But having them coaching was also very fun.
Yeah.
It's
I
so
had one
hard.
tournament loss out of like
Mhm.
15 tournaments. I have one loss. You know who it's to? Colton.
Yep. Yes,
Nice.
sir.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's hard having it's really hard when everybody wants to play and there's not enough slots.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's it. I also felt like being a coach really gets to help people not have to worry about there's things you can do to help them have a better experience.
Yeah.
We had joked about we needed a coach, but only to we needed a coach because we just needed someone to be able to go around and like pass messages because we didn't want to waste time doing that.
Mhm.
Come by and give us drinks. So we'd have to go to the cooler.
Yeah.
We needed a bartender now.
please.
Yeah, having the captain on the team was definitely an advantage. Being able to just like how I set the benchmarks for them when they weren't hitting their benchmarks, I could ask them like, "Hey, are you going to hit what I set for you?" And they're like, "Oh, I'm going to be over it." I was like, "Cool." And then I could keep the tension down on the team when someone's like failing. They're like, "Oh God, I'm stumbling. I'm not going to get the points." And he's like, "You're good. Keep the course. We're fine. Play your game."
That came up whenever we played Crimson because we
That
were
was good.
definitely worried. That was a hard matchup going into pairings. Well, we ended up winning 4 of the 5 games, and Dylan was still playing its Hunter. Hunter's so good, and I'm sure
Big
Dylan was kind of stressed in that matchup or going into it. Well, Colt was able to tell Dylan, it's like, hey, you can lose pretty big. Everybody else has won. Like you don't need to stress about winning.
Yeah.
Just get the points you can.
Now the
What
third
did that end
text.
up being? Do you
What's that?
remember that game? Because when you guys paired into Crimson Lions, Colton came over and he's like, I kind of like our pairings, da, da, da. Like, if I remember the conversation correctly, he's like, I got Dylan going into Hunter. I'm trying to get a 12-8 out of there, and I kind of gave Colton a look like, you sure that's what you're gonna get? Like,
Hunter's not gonna let you get a 12.
Dylan's a great-
Hunter's I've only played him once, but that one game I played him and he was playing what's the custodian? He was playing Solar Spearhead.
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
was playing
Solar
Spearhead,
Spearhead, yeah.
and he beat my ass with it, dude. He's a good player. He was very technical with what he was doing.
yeah,
Yep.
Hunter flipped it to a 13-7 in his favor.
Yep.
I will say
All
that
right, guys.
we saw some cool lists. We saw some interesting things. Did anyone play
Yep.
a cool list you never saw coming? Because I didn't see any that I was like super impressed with. That was like a cool like secret tech. And that's what I was hoping to see.
I
The
didn't
biggest-
play against it, but fucking Duel ran triple Bloodthirster
Yeah.
Angron Demonkin. That's badass, bro. That's what I'm talking about.
That is not
That's what I'm
effective,
talking
but
about.
it's cool.
I think I'm just maybe I'm just biased because I'm an orc player, but not kidding. Kevin's Def Comp is like we talked about earlier was very surprising to me that I definitely want to check it out. I think it's got some sauce.
Yeah, it's a cool tech, and it gives you some options. I don't know how I like his kill rigs though. I like your trucks. I like trucks.
I think
This
think
man
in the
loves some
meta,
kill
right?
rigs.
I am a kill rig advocate. I think in the meta right now, probably not worth the points. If you're doing the Beast Snag Stampede, which I am a big advocate that they only need one stratagem to make that the most meta orc detachment, and it's to change your prey after you kill it. I feel like if it had that one change, it would be the best orc detachment.
Yeah, be pretty good. I was looking through like all the lists, like seeing if there's anything. I thought the Black Templars list that the Heart team was running, that was a cool list. It had high volume. It could really put out volume, but it could also take out bigs.
Yep.
It was
Yeah.
a really dangerous list. It's got the 3 Castellan characters and then 3. It's like everything is like crit on 5s, lethal, sustained.
Everything has rerolls. They don't even
Rerolls.
need
Yeah.
oath. Yeah.
Yep. Nick, what about you? You think you saw anything wacky or any list that you liked?
No, everything was pretty much par for the course. Like there's a lot of like whole skew out of Lubbock and stuff, so I knew the vehicles were
Yeah.
going to be everywhere. Yeah, like Anthony's list. I liked Anthony's list a lot. The Forge Fathers, like that was the list like I looked at in our first matchup. I'm like, this is going to be a problem for a lot of people to deal with. Like the Invertus Marines with the repulsor trick is nasty, but
Yeah.
I had a list cooked up for the teams, but if I had to play, that was going to be very.
I think it's interesting that Josh found a way to play fixed passively and
Yeah.
force you to play. That was an interesting tech too.
Yeah, he was
And
hitting
I
me
didn't
up
do well
leading
doing
up to
that.
the event, like
Yeah,
trying
you
to
guys
figure out
talked,
how to
right?
get the list to work.
You should have sabotaged it. What are we doing?
The Necron players, we have a trust. You know, there's not
Yeah,
very
there's
many
gonna-
of us out
If you
here.
played
Nice.
Nice.
All right, guys, we're just over an hour, so let's go ahead and wrap up. Does anybody have any closing thoughts or anything?
I'd like to see some different terrain for next year. After 2 years,
Yeah.
I know the store has what the store has, but
Right.
like I'm kind of bored of those terrain. But then again, by the next time it comes around, we're going to have 11th, and it's going to be different terrain.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
from
For
what
sure.
I've been told, not breaking any NDAs here, but what I've been told is we're going to have 2 types of cover. We're going back to the obscuring and the cover. So, you know, the
Good.
I'm hoping that we
Fuck
get
my cover, dude.
Yeah.
No more having to explain to my opponent how his one guy not shooting gives me cover against his entire unit.
I know, and I hate the cover rules, and I hope they change
Yeah.
that so that Ricky can learn them. I think that would be really good.
That's so good. Yeah. All right. Colton, let's go ahead and give us the outro, brother.
Thank y'all so much for watching. Thank y'all for coming. Nick, thank you for being here. Derrick, thank you for being here. Taylor, me and you are always here, so thank you for being here.
Me and you, baby.
It was a ton of fun. I had so much fun. Congrats to Derrick's team for coming in first. Y'all played awesome.
Because we're
But
great too.
Congrats.
That's everything. Thank y'all so much for watching. We appreciate it. Like, comment, subscribe. GW, if you're watching this, make 6-inch charges guaranteed, because that's bullshit that I can fail a 6-inch charge.
True, brother. Hey, yo, hold
All
on.
right.
Monster Energy, if you're watching, we want a subscription. We want a sponsorship.
Yes.
We
I
wanna-
like the yellow
yeah,
lemonade ones.
sponsor us or Baron of Dice or anybody. Hey, almost forgot. We're the best. You're the best. Thank you for watching. All right. Peace.
Peace.